Men going their own way just beat women at their own game. Men going their own way just beat women at their own game. A lot of women said, "We don't like you, we don't want you, so go away." And that's exactly what these men have done. And now women are coming and they are not happy about it because the men have left. They can't understand why, or some of them are coming up with drastic theories. Watch in this video to fully understand why women are now panicking as men walk away or go their own way. And the videos we discussed today will be linked in the description so you can go and support those channels. Now let's just go ahead and jump right into the very first video.
To put something into perspective really quick, that when men built the worlds, we needed the world to be built. The world was nothing before men built it. And the reason men even built the world was for a safe place for both women and children, right? It was for their families. It was for the greater good of the future. They were building toward the future. It was a selfless act. It was a noble act for a man to build the world, to go to war, to protect his family, to protect his country, right? That was the man's aura. That was the man's job, to build the world. And back in the day, women actually respected the man for that. Women actually saw that the world needed to be built. The women saw this, right? And since the man was building the world, the woman had more respect for the man building the world because she saw that the world needed to be built.
To be very clear, it's not so much that the woman respected the man, it's the fact that she was forced to respect the man because men held all the cards. But as soon as women entered into the workforce and they were told that they can do everything on their own and they no longer needed men for outright survival, they then basically said that screw you. You see, from the very beginning, women have always had this inclination that men owe them something, that men are just there for their utility. Women have always been this way. If you go overseas, men go to the Philippines, they go to these other countries, and they believe that these women actually love them. And then these women destroy their lives. You know, these women leave them, these women cheat on them, these women do these things, and then all roads lead back to Uncle Angry. And then they come back to Uncle Angry, and it's the same bullshit, and I'm sick and tired of it. Oh, I don't know what happened. She just changed one day. Bro, stop it. Stop playing yourself, all right? No, you don't understand. Everything was good. We were good for 10 years. And then one day it just changed and she just basically gave me divorce papers, or she just started acting strange and then that was it. And our the relationship was over. I don't understand. But wait a minute. Wait a minute, little bro. Wait a minute, little bro. I mean, in your 61 years, and you've been following me for quite some time, I told you these things. I explained to you that, she never loved you. She just loved what you can do for her. And that women are culturally different in other countries. So, women are raised to be wives and mother in countries like the Philippines, even in countries like Thailand. So they have these qualities and characteristics. But at the end of the day, all women want your money, your attention, your time, and your money. And a woman plans her divorce before she plans her wedding. A woman will divorce you mentally, years in advance before she divorces you physically. And she can do all of these things without you even realizing it. All right. At least if you're not wise. You see, if you're a smart guy, if you don't give women the benefit of the doubt, when she says she's going on her girls' trips, you would say, hell no. Because you know exactly what she's going there to do. You think she's only going over there to have fun? No, she's not. Oh, she's going out with her friends to party, right? She's going out with her girlfriend to have some fun on the town. So she gets dolled up and she's dressed like a certain way, but you don't worry at all. And you're like, it's good because she goes out every so often and then she comes home and everything is absolute bliss. So I don't care. And her friend is incredible and blah, blah, blah. Bro, when she goes out there, she's getting her back blown out. She doesn't come back until the next day sometimes. Oh, she was staying at her friend's place. Bro, she was staying at some random dude's place, okay? She was staying at some random dude's place. She wasn't at her friend's house. She was with some other man's. She was at some other man. She was at some other man's house. No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. And then years later, yes, she was. Yes, she was. I just don't know how I missed it, bro. We talked about this. I just see men don't want to accept that women are not these perfect little princesses. Oh, that's just American women. Women overseas are completely different. I trust my wife 100% until you don't. Until you don't. And then you come back to Uncle Angry. And I'm going to be honest, when I have a 61-year-old calling me, saying senpai, it's like, bro, you know, uh, it's understandable because we learn from other men, and it's not about our age. But in your 61 years, you've learned literally nothing. I need to put the fucking dunce cap on you, and you think it's hilarious? It's not funny. It's like these men, they take it, they think it's hilarious, reverting until it's not, and doing stupidity and not listening until it isn't funny anymore, and they don't know what to do, and they're like, I'm fucked. I'm complete. And they really are fucked. They really are fucked. Okay, because they've lost, because especially as you get older, you can't fuck around so much because you have to plan for your future. You have to make sure that your wealth and resources are secured. You cannot be a mother. You can't be a fucking idiot. You have to really buckle down.
So there was respect back in the day. There was definitely a respect. There was a mutual understanding between the men and the women of what needed to be done. But guess what? It's 2024. The world is built, and women don't see anything that needs to be built anymore. Women are not respecting men because they don't see that there needs to be something built. Women need a reason to respect a man. They can't just respect men for doing selfless things. They can't just respect a man for being a man, for doing a job, for even though he's not building the world anymore, just because he.
Let me explain this to you. Even if the entire world needed to be rebuilt right now, women would basically just want to sit around, have men going out, rebuilding the world while obtaining resources, bring those resources home so they can lay around and enjoy themselves from the safety of their homes while still attempting to make dictations to the man. And then once the world had becomes habitable again, they would basically do the exact same things. And trust me, while the men are out rebuilding the world, they would still be out creeping. Women, it's more than women respecting us. Women have never respected us. They simply collaborated because they needed us. That's all there is to it. They traded us in for big daddy government. There was never any. If a woman truly respected a man, she would never have traded a man in for a hat for a little bit of money, called public assistance. They never respected us. They just simply needed us. And as soon as they could find a way to live without us, and it's funny because we're still supplementing them in other ways, they immediately turned on us. All right, and began working as agents of the state with the sole purpose of reallocating wealth and resources from men to the state and being rewarded for it. And they did that through divorce court, through family court, through civil court, through criminal court. It doesn't matter how they did it. The state incentivized them to do it, and the state gave them made it very easy for them to succeed when they did it. Because the state would get its cut, the money would be divided up, the woman would get her piece, the state would get its piece, and everyone is happy except for the man. But no one gives a fuck about the man because the man is disposable. That's how women view men. That's how the state has always viewed men. That's how society has always viewed men, as disposable. And and the only way that anything will actually change is if men will continue to walk away and tell everyone and anything and everything to go to hell. Okay? I saw this comment from this idiot guy in my comments. And he basically says, because that's the Sims know. Some of the Sims know that shit's gonna go down. And I saw a comment from a simp who said, "Well, after everything collapses, we women need to be and men start rebuilding. Women need a seat at the table." Why would you say something like that? Do you see how bad the Sims are, y'all? So think about this. The idiots are here watching my videos because I told you the Sims. There's a lot of Sims in the manosphere. The manosphere is rife with Sims, filled with Sims, because they have nowhere else to go. And here you have a simp who's watching one video after another video after another video, and they comprehend that we are going to hit a crash. Some of them are like, yeah, everything's going to go to hell. But then they pop up and say, women need a seat at the table. When we start rebuilding, women need a seat at the table. Why would you say that? The people who are very much responsible for everything crashing and burning need a seat at the table to dictate how things will be rebuilt. Does that make any damn sense to you? Guys, that's why I say, why would you say something like that? Now, don't get me wrong. I understood years ago when I thought about rebuilding the relationship between men and women, and maybe we should have spoken more with women. No, it doesn't work like that because women do not operate like that. Women created there were problems where there were no problems. Okay, women will never be happy. Women will never women will never say that they are equal because they will never feel equal, even though they feel that they are better than men. It's a crazy conundrum. Women feel, they believe that they are better than men, but they will never feel equal to men because they HAT us, they hate us. Most of them hate us. And so as a result, they will always say that men have more than them, and so forth. Because you're naturally going to say that about someone you don't like. They only need us. Guys, we have there are two groups. There are the incels and the femcells. The INCELs are a group of guys who say that they're involuntary celibate and they can't get a date or have a relationship with a woman. The femcells are women who just hate men and want to have nothing to do with them. Do you see like how disgusting that is? So the guys who say that they're lonely and they can't get a date, they're the ones demonized by society. But the women who say that they straight up hate men and want to have nothing to do with them, and they make videos telling like femcells actually make videos saying that it's like we hate men, like not like we don't hate them, but we do hate them. In other words, we don't want to be held accountable for hating men, but we actually do hate men. We don't like them, and we'll do anything to destroy them and their spaces. Like this is like they guys, do you remember the hashtag K all men, like delete all men? Or hashtag give your money to women. This was before, and it was insane. This when like women started rushing to Twitter, manipulating the algorithm. And then after that, there was that's when when the nuke went off, and shortly after that, the nuke went off, known as M2, hashtag M2, and that was just like a living hell. And they've been using social media as basically a bathroom wall to spread gossip and lies and rumors. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, to destroy the lives of innocent men. Or even if these guys are not entirely innocent, they're also not necessarily guilty. For example, guys like Mr. Weinstein, he is a scumbag, but guess what? This guy delivered. All right. These women, they went to Mr. Weinstein and they said, I want to role in this movie, Mr. Weinstein. And Mr. Weinstein said, well, you're very lovely and let's have an evening together. And they had an evening together. And then they got that role in the movie. And they spent 20 years living off Mr. Weinstein and all the opportunities that Mr. Weinstein afforded them for, that one night, one night in Paris, we'll call it that. And then after the money runs out, because they did not fully take advantage of it, they were basically just living off their looks and the opportunity. Then they turn around and say Mr. Weinstein was not such a good guy, and things happened with this individual that they did not agree to, and he needs to be in prison. And it's like, it's you have to understand that women can retroactively withdraw consent. That's an insane concept. If guys, they despise us so much, they hate men and boys so much that in the UK right now, you're basically being persecuted for thought crimes. Where if a boy's even susceptible to manosphere influence, he can be thrown in prison. It's no wonder that you have so many broke girls condemning MGTOW, men going their own way, because they have really no recourse for it. They've tried to silence it. They've tried to get rid of it, and the only option men have is to walk away. It's an insane level of tyranny, and it's funny because there you have more women beginning to come out and say, "Hey, yeah, life sucks for men. Yeah, things are really bad for men. Yeah, we created a dystopia that no one wants to live in."
Building on top of his family, and there's nothing really to be seen, right? The world is fine. There's nothing going on bad enough for the woman to respect the man. The women, we are not respecting the men anymore because there's nothing to build. That's the reason why we selfishly don't understand. We don't understand how selfless men really are because of how selfish we are.
Let me make this very I agree with her that these individuals are extremely selfish, but let me make it clear that it's not because there's nothing left to build. Look at the fall of the Roman Empire. Even at the heights of the Roman Empire, there was still a lot to do. But guess what? Women became comfortable. It's not a situation of overpopulation, like John Calhoun ruled in the conclusion he came to in the Mouse Utopia experiment, because in his experiment they had the only constraint was space, but they had unlimited amounts of resources. What they don't tell you when they show these videos discussing the Mouse Utopia experiment, which he ran multiple times over, is that in these utopias they didn't run out of space. What Calhoun concluded is that they ran out of social roles, and that when all the social roles are filled, then you end up in a situation where society begins to regress. Keep in mind, guys, this is a very, very dangerous view of things, because this scenario can play out in almost any population. You can have a population of 1,000 people, but all the social roles are filled in that population. And then they can make the same exact argument that, well, that's a matter of overpopulation, so we need to reduce the number of people in our population. But the reality is that what we actually need to do is we need to expand out more. We need to journey further. Okay? And also we need to control the people who are attempting to subvert the influence and the rights of men in these societies. We need to also be very clear that certain types of behavior will not be tolerated, because giving women unlimited freedoms will result in them doing basically everything and anything with zero consequences. It's a frightening argument. Basically, guys, we can have an entire world. We have a big world, and most of the world is unoccupied. But because most people live in cities, and because women are receiving resources sufficient enough to stay alive from the state, and they're able to use the state to reallocate wealth and resources from men through a variety of means, like I mentioned earlier, where overpopulation is being blamed. The reality is that in many countries now, they're facing a crisis of underpopulation. South Korea is facing a crisis of underpopulation. Japan is facing a crisis of underpopulation. China is facing a crisis. China, that has over 1 billion people, is now facing a crisis of underpopulation. You heard me right. China is completely petrified and trying a variety of different things to prevent their current population from slipping under 1 billion. 1 billion. The simple truth of the matter is that most of the world is not populated. The biggest issue is how resources are allocated. Thanos was wrong in some ways. For example, and I'll make this clear. I'll make this very, very clear in my analysis. He believed that the problem was that there were too many people and that we would run out of resources because the universe has a finite amount of resources. The reality is that people begin to take each other for granted. All right. And even when an unlimited amount of resources does not necessarily lead to an unlimited amount of resources, or continuously reducing the population does not necessarily lead to stability. Okay. What it ultimately leads to is tyranny at its best. The saddest truth is that the big conflicts we're having occur because of the way women behave in society. Most men just want to have peace on earth. Most men don't want to go and fight with one another. We like to challenge ourselves. We like to challenge. We like to challenge ourselves against one another. And we have ways of doing that. We have sporting events and so forth. But the reality is that we all just want to live good lives. We want to live good, peaceful, wholesome lives. Most of us. Women, on the other hand, can never be happy. They can never they can never have enough. And it's this problem that has to this led us where we are today. I don't know, guys. It's like it just keeps on going from bad to worst. And as men, we just sit back and we take it. And we don't ask questions. We don't say, hey, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like how this feels. Women are the ones who always want more. Women are the ones who are never happy with just one man, with just one house, with just one of everything. Nothing is ever good enough. They will never feel equal to men because, check this out, they will never feel equal to men because women do not process things using facts. They process things using feelings. And we're dealing with individuals, and it's a lot of people don't like to hear this concept, but we're dealing with people who are addicted to dopamine rushes. They're addicted to dopamine, and emotional highs and emotional lows give them continuous releases of dopamines. If everything is good in a woman's life, for example, women will deliberately go and fuck up their lives just so that they can have problems in their lives, so they can have ups and downs, so that things can be problematic. All right, so they can be miserable, because that misery brings makes them excited, and it's not boring. And if it's not boring, then it stimulates their emotions, and they get a hit of dopamine because they want to be on a continuous adventure. They want to always be entertained. That's basically the purpose of a man. Entertain me, dance for me, keep me entertained, take me on a date, do this. And guys, who the hell wants that? Who the hell wants that? What stimulate me? No, bro, I don't have time for that shit. Guys, do you think doctors, when they get out of work, want to come home and discuss complex subjects and blah blah blah? No, they want to come home and relax and play video games, or you know do their crafts and whatever. They don't want to discuss the intricacies of medicine with their significant other. Maybe if their significant other is a physician themselves or in research. But the average man, regardless of the field that he's in, doesn't want to sit around discussing these things with the woman that he's with. For example, guys, you know, I'm a computer guys. I'm a computer engineer, so I do software engineering. I'm an expert in cryptocurrency, so I'm a cryptocurrency developer. I I mean, I have so much. I have a background in health in health. So I have an undergraduate in health science. I also have a background in psychology. I have a master's in psychology, master's in health science. You know, I have a background in public health. I also have an undergraduate in business. I have all of these things, and I've worked in all of these fields, and I'm also a YouTuber, and I produce all of this content. I don't want to sit around and just talk about this shit all day with a woman. If I'm in a relationship, I want to relax. I want to drink a beer, watch some cartoons, watch some anime with her, talk about life, just relax. That's it. And if we talk about, you can talk about this and that, but that's not the focus of it. That is absolutely not the focus of any of these things. The modern women, they want a constant adventure. They want a constant dopamine hit. It's annoying and exhausting. And it is the never-ending tale with these women.
Believe there is a healthy amount of narcissism in every single woman, including myself. And this was bred through generations of watching men build the world, watching men literally.
Exactly. There's a healthy amount of narcissism in each of these individuals. And it is something that occurred over generations while they sat back and they watched men suffer and strive to make them happy and to protect them. They, instead of being grateful, they became resentful, and they wanted something that they don't even understand.
Nothing into everything. And since everything is done, women, we look for reasons to just blame men for all of these things. And we never put a man on a pedestal. We never did. We never thanked the man for building the world. It's just what's next? What's next? What else can a man give me? What else can the world give me when you've already received everything? Everything. We are bored. We are bored. Women, we are bored. As women, we are bored. We are narcissistically bored, selfishly bored. There's nothing else to build, so we might as well build on top of ourselves, right? We might as well build on top of our own narcissism.
Did I not tell you? They would rather create problems in our lives. She said, even myself. That's why I said all women are like that. And it's not speaking poorly of a woman. It's just letting you know there are no perfect women. And a lot of simps will watch her say these things and they'll go, no, not you, not you. You're the different, you are the different one. Guys, how is, guys, this is why I don't like these people. These people. Oh, they could see that the world, that everything is going to shit. But when men start rebuilding, women need a seat at the table. This is the simp for you. People, it's like us guys. It's like you have a person who's a very bad person. I'm not saying women are bad people, but it's like you have a person who is a very bad person, and they tell you, "I'm a bad person, and I have these horrible impulses to hurt other people." And it's hard. And I've hurt a lot of other people. I've hurt a lot of people. This is just how I am. This is how my brain is wired. It's my personality. And an idiot goes, no, it's not. I believe in you. You're a good person. And this dude is like, bro, you don't know how much I don't listen. None of that matters. You're a good person. And they're telling you, no, dude, I'm not a good person. I'll tell you, I'm really awful. Like, man, you don't know, I'm into some bad stuff. Like, I need to be locked up. I'm telling you this because I want you to help me, help me get some help. Like, they need to put me away. I'm afraid. Like, I'm gonna do something really soon, really, really bad. This is actually me reaching out to you. This is a cry for help. Like, help me, help me, like, go where I need to go so I can't hurt anyone. And the idiot's like, listen to me, you're a good person and we're gonna get you, we're gonna the world is gonna see you shine. And they're like, listen, man, I warned you, all right? I'm gonna go do some bad stuff now, and don't blame anyone, don't blame me for it. And they're like, I won't, because I believe in you. This guy's these people are just horrible human beings, absolutely horrible beings. No wonder, guys, it's because of all of this garbage why men are walking away. Guys, check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse. We have so much great content over on the Angry Guy Clubhouse for you guys. It's an incredible place. It's our own community. And you can dive into exclusive podcasts, Gen X stories, and more. Plus, get access, manosphere topics, and you can get access to our passive income blueprint, exclusive videos, and guides on building wealth and thriving. We also have a chat where you could reach me directly, so don't miss out. And you click the link in description to get to subscribe now. And also, guys, check out our latest article on there, playing video games and chilling, why millions of men are walking away from the workforce. You can find that linked in the description, so go and check that out, because that's our latest article. It's lit. It's lit. I mean, guys, even when women tell you who they are, the simps will jump in and tell you it's not true. This will jump in and tell you it's not true until they start gassing women back up, trying to reinflate their egos. It's like even when women try to have a moment of clarity, the simps try to wipe that out because the simps have their own agenda. And the thing that women don't understand is that the simp that will not change, that cannot change, has its own agenda. When women go against the agenda of the simp, simps will go after women. For example, if this woman becomes a threat to the simp will go after her and begin berating her and saying the most ridiculous things. If the simp ever said this about any other woman, it would be unacceptable. But because it's a woman who is going against the narrative of the general narrative, the anti-male narrative, the simp will go after her, and and you'll watch, no one will stop the simp. They will even praise the simp because this is the society we live in. This is why I say that the state does not actually care about women. The state is only using women to further its own agenda, just like the simp. The simp has its own agenda. The simp is a disgusting little weasel.
Because men already created all of that. Men already created the foundation for a woman to even be narcissistic, to be selfish. Women are way more selfish than men. Men do things for others. Women do things for themselves. And if a woman tells you she's doing it for her children, always look at a woman's actions, not her words. Don't believe a woman's words, believe her actions. Because you can see if she's doing it for her children. If a woman says she's doing it for her children, she's not. She has to actually be doing it, not saying it. A woman who actually believes in something won't have to say it to prove it. She can just do it. That's the beauty of being a woman, right? You get to pick and choose when you are actually serious. So that's really what I wanted to get at. I wanted to explain the perspective of how men selflessly built this world for selfish women. And we took this power of men doing everything for us, and now we're just like, double it. Because it's not like we're bored. We are bored, and we're creating more problems because we're bored. We've solved all of our problems. The only problem that's left in the world is that we are attacking certain groups of people every 20 years. Every 20 years, there's a group of people that is discriminated. And right now, it's men. It's men's turn, right, to be discriminated against. It was everyone else's turns. There were so many wars, so many discrepancies against men and women and all these races and everything. Now it's men. Now everyone is targeting men all around the world. This is a world problem. There's some countries that it's not much of a problem, but it's still there. The internet is everywhere, and it's affecting every single country. I just wanted to put that out there, that all women are narcissists, and the reason that we are bored is because men built everything. We have nothing else to look forward to, so might as well look forward to the belittling of a man.
You see, the reality is that they have nothing left to complain about. And that's why they have to invent new things to complain about. That's why they have to complain about air conditioning. That's why they have to complain about man spreading. That's why they have to complain about toxic masculinity. That's why they have to complain about men playing video games. That's why they have to complain about they don't like to see men sleep. Okay, but you have women complaining that they cannot stand to see men sleep. They cannot stand to see us exist, because basically men can be content with very little. Women can be content with nothing. And the truth of the matter is that women will never be content until they have absolutely nothing at all. Only when a woman has nothing, is in nothing, in a state of destitution and despair, only then will she ever maybe truly finally feel content in some way. And I'm not saying she will be truly content, but when she has nothing, absolutely nothing, then maybe that'll finally make her feel like she has everything. I know it sounds backwards, but that's the only. But that you have to remember, women don't think linear like men. They think in zigzags. Okay, and their thinking is not based on fact; it's based on feelings. Because this is where women are pushing things. And the MGTOW has figured it out long ago, where you had countries where women basically disrupted these societies, tore these societies down, and now if you look at the state of these countries, women in these countries do not have the rights and freedoms that women in Western society enjoy. How did these countries where women once had rights and freedoms and were considered equal to men, now they're look at the state of them, where they're not even, where even the way that they're dressed is controlled? It's because they tore down these societies. Nothing was enough. And just to make it very clear, the first wave of guys, I am not attacking feminism, as feminism is just an ideology. It is just the concept of men and women being equal. At its core, it sounds great, but in practice, that's not how it works. Just like socialism. Socialism sounds great, like everyone gets a helping hand, but that's not how socialism works. Okay? Socialism ultimately becomes communism. It ultimately becomes tyranny. It ultimately becomes Marxism. Okay? Look at the state of Venezuela right now. Venezuela was once the third wealthiest country in the Western Hemisphere, and now it's one of the poorest. And this is despite having such massive amounts of oil reserves. And to be very clear with you, if the regime in Venezuela, the state that put Venezuela in the condition that it's currently in, and they were able to get those people out, get out the people in the court, get out those politicians, get them out and return to a country of democracy. All right? You would be surprised how quickly things would begin to turn around in Venezuela. As soon as those sanctions are lifted, because they have some of the largest oil reserves in the world. But of course, they're not going to let it happen because the extremists over there, they love the way things are, because they're using all of the money in the state that the state acquires to bankroll themselves and to live wonderful lives and eat well and sleep well and poop well while everyone else is starving. That's how it works. It's sick. It's really, really sick. But it is just the reality that we're ultimately faced with, and we've always been faced with. I'm telling you, it just never ends. It really never ends.
This objectification is a dehumanization of women. These men are viewing women as if they are something that they can just fuck and have fun with for the night, as if they are just an object that they can discard after the fun is over. Men will dehumanize women to nothing but a sex toy.
Yes, boys, I am back. The last few weeks were crazy busy, been working on a special project for this channel, but more on that later, because before we dive into the extreme state of delusion of these modern women.
This is why real high value men will go after single moms. High value men want children, so you having a child is now an addition to their entire family.
Yep, that's totally what men want. Or the bewilderment of modern women on why men do not want to date their supposed amazing, gorgeous friends.
I have friends who are absolute worldies.
Yeah, you see, guys, women have nothing to offer and they have nothing that men want. So when this is the reality and they cannot compete with women who are overseas or women who are younger or women who are fit, feminine, friendly, they basically say that, everything that they do have, the traits that, even the traits that the things that men don't want, they'll say those are the things that men do want. But society and other men are shaping a reality where men are becoming misogynistic, because men do want to date single mothers. Men do want to raise the children of another man. Men do want to date older women who are older than them, and provide for these women. Men don't care about a woman's appearance. What men care about is being able to sacrifice themselves for a woman. That's a man's natural inclination. But it's because of masculinity, misogynist, and that why men do not want to accept their natural role to serve and obey women and treat women as goddesses and kneel before them and worship the ground that they walk on. It's because of misogyny. Oh God, guys, think about this very carefully. Women want men to kneel before them, but most of these women say they will never kneel before a man. Some of them will say the only man they will ever kneel before is God, but they will never kneel before a man, but they also want men to kneel before them. And they'll give you every explanation as to explain why this is a normal thing and it's okay thing, and it's a good thing for a man to kneel before a woman and to even worship a woman, but a woman should never do the same for a man. Modern women in Western society and Westernized societies have nothing to offer. Look at China right now, where you have bride prices where women are demanding anywhere from $80,000 to $800,000, or roughly $1 million United States dollars for marriage. And you have men who, for example, I played a video for you guys where the Chinese simp economy is pretty much dead at this point, and men are revolting in China, rebelling in China, and they're basically saying that they're just going to stay humble and save their money and then live off the interest. If you're a man in China and you make $20,000 a year, that's a lot of money. $20,000 a year is a lot of money in China. And yet these women are going, and you have women who make, let's say, $20,000 a year with a master's degree in China, but then they're turning around and saying that they want a man who makes that will give them a bride price of 80,000, or so call it 100K to 800,000, call it $1 million for marriage, and the guy has to make something like 300 or 400 or $500,000 a year, and he has to be a certain height. So yeah, he has to be 6 feet, 6 foot, or almost 6 foot. He has to be a millionaire. He has to have all of these qualities that they're looking for. And in some cases, she's also looking at not just his income, but she's also looking at his parents' income. Like, for example, does his parents have a pension? Because if they don't have a pension, then the husband is going to have to take care of his parents. He's going to have to provide money to his parents, and she doesn't want him giving his money to his parents. Guys, these women are, guys, and China's like paranoid. The country of China's it's paranoid right now because they're seeing there's this belief that there's way more single men in China than single women, but those numbers it's not as large as they claim it is. All right. The reality is that there are now more single women looking for men than there are men looking for women. And the men are saying that they're not going to be bothered anymore. They're just going to save their money. They're saying, brothers, there is no reason for us to get married. A wise man will not get married. All right. And China is paranoid because there's no social security in China. All of these women are going to basically drain the system, drag the system down. Men, guys, in the United States, and this is going to be the same in China, men pay 80% of all taxes in the United States. Women make 80% of all consumer purchases. Think about this very carefully. If men are not subsidizing the living of women in China, there's no money to provide for these women in old age. There's no money to provide for these women and subsidize their health care and other things that they need. So basically, if the men refuse to subsidize the living of women, it falls upon the state to provide for these women. The state cannot provide for these women. The state cannot provide infinite amounts of health care. The state cannot provide unlimited amounts of housing, food, shelter, clothing. The state can't do this. The state needs men to provide these resources for women. But the fact is that men are not going to do it. Men are increasingly walking away. And as these women go further into old age, they're going to stop working. It's already very hard to find a job. Many of them will give up. So what ends up happening is you end up with a large homeless or heavily destitute population of women in China. And of course, they'll blame the men, but at the same time, while the state is blaming the men, what does the state exactly want men to do when these women are demanding insane amounts of money from the men? So what's the Chinese government going to do? Come after these men? And here's what the men are doing. The men are saying lay flat, and they're saying that enjoy every day like it's your last. If I get sick, I'll just go. If it's something simple, I'll go to the hospital and pay a little bit of money. If it's something serious, then it's okay. I'll pass away, and that's it. And they're basically saying lay flat. They're taking one page out of the Gen Zers book. Lay flat. Let the state come and take you. If the state wants to if the state wants to get rid of you, let the state come and get you and dispose and then do what it wants to do. And that's one less of you. But enjoy your life as much as you can. Enjoy it as much as you can until they come and take you, until they come and get you. That's it. That's the mental state of most of these men right now, because they've just about had it. And you have 40-year-old women demanding $1 million dowry. How insane is and then when men basically say, well, if I'm supposed to pay a dowry of $1 million, then I should be getting a virgin. Women say, oh, you're turning marriage into something and relations into something transactional. But a man has to pay a massive dowry to be in a relationship with you, just to marry a 40-year-old woman. And then a man says, well, then I have some things that I want out of it as well. And they freak out. Guys, who in their right mind would agree to this? Traditionally in China, there's been a concept of a bride price for some time, but dowries traditionally were not paid by the man. It was actually paid by the groom, by the bride's family. So if there was a bride price, is something completely different. Okay, that's something that the woman herself is demanding. A dowry is something that was paid by the bride's family, and that was usually paid to high value men. A high value man typically had to pay. A high value man typically demanded that amount of money to take on the daughter. That's what happens. Look at India, where the bride's family has to pay dowries. Dowries are usually paid to the groom's family for taking the daughter and providing for the daughter, because it is a burden for a lot of men. The man is taking on a burden. My gosh. Like, guys, I told you, we're dealing with people who do not like us. We're dealing with people who absolutely hate us. And they're never going to stop. These people are never, can't stop, won't stop. They are never going to stop. They're going to keep on pushing this charade and sham for as long as they can. Okay? They're going to keep doing it for as long as they can. Because as that girl said earlier, they're just bored. You know, they're sowing the seeds of their own despair. By the way, guys, as you can see, things are not going well in society. So it's time to learn the secrets of the rich. Okay? I want you guys to go and check out the new course that I've built for you. Because in today's challenging world, knowledge, knowing how to use government and community resources can make all the difference. That's why I created the Survive and Thrive course. This 12-section crash course teaches you how to secure cash, money, food, housing, healthcare, and more. Imagine having a trusted advisor showing you how to leverage community support to stabilize your finances and grow your wealth. Join me and learn step-by-step strategies to maximize available resources and enhance your financial security. Click the link in the description to sign up now. I mean, guys, women made this decision for themselves. And it's amazing because they continue to say, men, we don't like you, men, we don't need you. But then the moment they see men going overseas, becoming passport kings, and finding women who are fit, feminine, and friendly in other countries, what do? They go absolutely ballistic. They start to panic. The truth, these women know that they have nothing to offer men in Western society. They have nothing to offer and everything, literally everything to gain. It's such a bad deal for the modern man. It is such a terrible deal for the modern man just being in a relationship with women in Western society today, because they don't even like you. They just want to take advantage of you, and they just want all the cookies for themselves. And even when they have all of the cookies, it's still not enough. They get bored of these cookies and they want something different. Okay? They can have the most exquisite of cookies, and then they'll get bored and say, okay, now I want the cheap stuff. This is how they think. You could never make them happy.
Yeah, couldn't possibly think of a reason for why guys might not be interested. Anyways, before we dive into that whole mess, we first need to talk about a whole nother mess of delusion, and that is I am getting sued. Because apparently my last video really seemed to have pissed off one of the lovely ladies in it, and now she's suing me for copyright infringement and defamation. Now, the lady in question did manage to get my video removed from YouTube initially by lying on her copyright removal request, thus abusing the DMCA system. However, we countered and the video got reinstated, and is now sitting at 3 times the views before she started meddling with it. So yeah, great job on that. However, the angry old lady wasn't going to let that stop her, since she sent me a cease and desist demanding that I delete the video or she'll sue me in California State Court. So naturally, I drank my soy latte, painted my fingernails, inserted my butt plug, and quickly deleted the video. Yeah, not quite. That video isn't going anywhere, and instead I've hired an excellent LA law firm specialized in copyright litigation, who just beat a $9 billion loan provider in both state and federal court, winning attorney fees and costs defending against another frivolous copyright infringement case. So yeah, I simply lawyered up, and I'm going to let the lawyers handle everything from here, because there's really no point in talking to a woman that's this delusional.
Now, you know what's unfortunate? This guy's going hard, but a lot of people would basically give up, because here's the thing. This woman doesn't have any money like that. Even if he wins the case, and he probably will, trying to collect any money from her will be near to impossible. I'm just being honest. She's probably a brokey. She's 100% going to be a brokey, and the amount of money he's going to lose in lawyer fees will be absolutely substantial. That's why a lot of guys go, it's absolutely not worth it. They just walk away.
Now, there's a lot I like to say about this case, and trust me, it is juicy.
How does that even occur?
How does that even, how?
But it would really serve no other strategic purpose than to stroke my ego. So for now, I'm just going to follow my lawyer's lead on this one, and I'll let you guys know what went down when the whole thing is over. However, what I will say about this whole situation is that it revealed to me just how extremely weak our society has become, because people who love to dish it out by saying, I am 41 and my male peers look like crap. Don't troll unless you're prepared to get a pot of heat in return. Hashtag men age like milk. So she says all that and then runs and cries defamation when you confront her with her own words. Absolutely pathetic. Now luckily, every single YouTuber that stood their grounds and fought back against these frivolous cases has won in the end.
We had raised roughly $200,000. Because of this, it seems like he pulled out of the lawsuit.
After a year and a half of doing depositions, filing summaries, motions, hundreds of thousands of dollars later, we slammed this bitch, dude! Yes!
We f***ing won. This is a massive win for free speech in this country.
Which just shows you how important it is to not back down from any of these lawsuits, otherwise freedom of speech means absolutely nothing and it will be dead in a few years.
To be very clear, these are small victories, and these small victories by large creators. The average person is losing right now because the average person doesn't have a fan base that's going to help them raise a couple $100,000 or a couple $1 million to fight a frivolous lawsuit. That's the honest to goodness truth. And the people who are usually doing the suing, they are not going to pay the lawyer fees. Okay, they'll just file for bankruptcy.
And so that is why today I'm launching my brand new platform, FBERaw.com. With FBE Raw, I want to build a massive war chest to bundle our resources and strike back hard at anyone who wants to come at me or any of the content creators in this space. Because we've already seen that DHS spent $170,000 producing that garbage report, vilifying us and trying to actively suppress men from speaking their minds and talking about real-world issues. Which just shows you that we need to start going after these individuals using the very same laws they are trying to use on us. So if you like the channel and want me to continue making videos, then drop a like and sign up to FBERaw.com today and become a member so I can continue to piss off all these man-hating feminists.
If you would shut the f*** up for the 50th billionth time!
Now in addition to becoming a member, you can also donate to support the channel both in dollars and in crypto to one of the addresses listed on the site. And so on the FBE Raw platform, I'll be uploading all the FBE channel videos free of ads and free of sponsorship.
Hey team, today I want to talk about why men are going their own way. Why a lot of men are abandoning their families or abandoning trying to date or relationships. Why community is failing and patriotism or shared social bonds are getting destroyed. It comes down to ownership. Now, I might be canceled for this video, but hear me out. If a man doesn't feel ownership in the land, in his family, in his tribe or village, he will not be inspired to accept responsibility for that thing.
Guys, do you remember what I said? That if a man does not have love for country or for family, he will fight for neither. A country without its men is not a country. A country without its men is a wasteland.
If I was starting a business and I wanted someone to be an A player for me, someone to be high up in the business, to be a great leader, to really help the business flourish, what would I do? I would give them a ownership role. I would give them a share of the company, right? It's the same thing in society. If you want participants, really good citizens, if you want men to overcome their lower nature and rise to truly masculine and beautiful men and leaders, you need to give them ownership, or else they're going to say fuck it. So the main impulse within most men is towards freedom. We don't want to be tied down to all of these obligations.
So here's the thing. Men are no longer shareholders in society. Men are now simply related to slaves and beta male providers. Why would you fight for your own slavery? The reason why simps fight for this slavery is because they are able to profit off of it. They are able to profit off the slavery of men, off the destitution of men, off the hardships of men, off the suffering of men. Simps do this because it's the way that they survive.
Responsibilities to our village, to the nation, to our job, to our family. Like, we just want to wander freely, right? A lot of men do. And society and cultures in the ancient world coped with this will towards freedom within men by offering them ownership, by offering them authority. And this ownership is what created citizens. And this is really important. This is what my last video is about. Bear with me if you're feeling triggered. Citizenship is when you own a long-term stake within a larger project, right? So let's say you're in a village, okay? And you own a piece of land in that village. And your kids are probably going to inherit that piece of land. And on top of that, you feel like you have great ownership of your family. You're more of the patriarch of your family. Therefore, how are you going to treat your family and how are you going to treat the land? A lot of modern people would be like, oh, he's going to abuse them and all these things. It's like, no, that's the exception to the rule. The main rule would be you would try to see that whole thing flourish. A father generally wants to see the best for their kids. A father who owns the land is going to pass it down generations, wants to see the best of that land, is probably going to build it up in some way. And on top of that, you are going to want the best for your community. You're going to go and participate in governance. You're going to try to be a good citizen to your neighbors. You're going to build community and build relationships because it's meaningful to you, because you have a long-term stake in the whole, right? When you take away the man's role at the head of the family, or you take away the man's role in terms of private land ownership, right? You take away his sense of having a long-term stake in something. Therefore, his nurturing, he doesn't feel inspired to take responsibility for it because it has less meaning for him, okay? Now, I'm not trying to advocate for, maybe outdated and roles of masculinity. I'm just trying to paint a picture of human nature for people out there, is that when people feel like they have ownership in something, they're going to take responsibility in that thing because it has meaning for them. And let's talk about this politically and geopolitically in terms of democracy versus monarchy. Man, we're going heretical in this video, aren't we? Drop a like if you like this kind of content. So, the Middle Ages saw a lot of monarchies, kingdoms, and aristocracies, right? And there's been a massive wave of propaganda in the past 100 years from liberal democracy saying that the Middle Ages were all dark and kings were these conniving, greedy, fat fools who were just in it for themselves. And this is not true. You can go see Thinking West, a YouTuber's video on this. But the monarchies of the past, in general, tended to be okay, if not good. Of course, there was bad kings and bad ones, just like there's bad men, okay? But in that, the patriarch, the monarch, the king, he feels ownership for his entire kingdom, meaning that he is thinking generations ahead because he wants his kingdom to thrive. He's not going to overtax the peasants because he wants them to be more productive, to have better lives, so they multiply and increase the will to power of the entire kingdom. You see, the main instinct of life is to increase the feeling of power in life. And this is a very Nietzschean philosophy. And the feeling of power has nothing to do with control. It has everything to do with vitality, an increased feeling of life and expansiveness here on earth, a mastery of open space. And so the king is going to be thinking, a good king is thinking generations ahead. He's trying to, how can my people, be more productive and live happier lives so they multiply and increase the power of the nation, right? And he's thinking this way because he wants to pass down this kingdom to his children, who he also feels to be a part of himself, right? Therefore, he has all of this meaning to lead well.
You know, it's very interesting as he talks about this notion of wanting to pass down something to the next generation. The baby boomers are the first generation of people that did not want to pass anything down to their children. In fact, they basically stole our futures, stole the future of their children and their grandchildren and every generation that came after them while they were, while they were still in diapers. They stole our futures while we were still in diapers and then tell us not to complain about it. And they're still doing it. The Zoomers are exactly like the boomers because they want all the toys for themselves and they could care less about anyone else. You can't reason with these people either. Okay, the boomers hate it. The boomers have hated every generation that came before them and after them. And look at the Zoomers. The Zoomers, they hate every generation that came before them, and they hate every generation that came after them. All right. So far, Gen Alpha, they hate them. All right. And when Gen Beta gets here, they'll also hate them because they want all the toys for themselves. Me. These guys. The boomers were the first generation of people to not want their children to have a better life than they did. And if they try, and just like this woman said earlier, all right, she said, she made a very good point. Don't listen to what a woman says because modern women are narcissists. Look at what they actually do. All right. If they actually meant it, they wouldn't have to say it. They would do it. The boomers will jump into my comment section and start attacking and saying all of this bullshit when the reality is that it does not align with it doesn't align. They'll say, oh, my kids are all doing very well. You know, blah, their kids are not doing well. My kids all have degrees. They're all struggling to survive. Well, life is a struggle. Fuck you. These people, the narcissism that we have received from these people is so ridiculous. And it can't stop, won't stop. They just keep the scam going. It's deplorable. It's really, really deplorable. I think that the entirety of it is disgusting. And this is why men are going their own way. You know, men going their own way just beat women at their own game. By the way, guys, you know, let me know if you've made it to the 1 hour mark. 1 hour, like if you're here at the 1 hour mark, just go ahead and put in the comments 1 hour gang, 1 hour gang, 1 hour gang. And I'll try to, give, heart as many of those comments as possible. I'm tired, y'all. I can't believe there's so many of you that make it to the 1 hour mark. It's just unbelievable that so many of you guys make it to the 1 hour mark. I mean, it's exhausting. Like, Jesus. I think what I'm going to start doing for you guys is like, we're going to do like maybe a special video that only you guys will receive. So for example, if you get it to the 1 hour mark, it won't be in the comments. It won't be in the comments or in the script, and it won't be like pinned in the comments or in the description. It'll basically just be like a link on the screen and like, okay, guys, here's an unlisted video just for you guys, just for the 1 hour gang. I won't do that every time, but I'll try to do that sometimes, like put together, something like a reward every so often for the 1 hour gang, because we're in this together. We're oh gosh, where this is all leading for women is basically a lot of women are going to find themselves in heightened states of poverty, destitution, and hardship. And I see that constantly. Women are basically sowing the seeds of their own despair, and that's where it will ultimately lead to. Men, on the other hand, will always find a way to survive, because if men don't succeed, then they will not survive. They do not have a fallback plan. But more and more, the fallback plan, of the state and men is falling away from women. And, maybe that's the reset that they need. This generation of women is essentially lost because, this disdain for men is something that has occurred it's something that has been building for generations. So women in Western society, they're too far gone. They will never regret what they have done. They will just regret the consequences that they are experiencing as a result of what they've done. But they don't actually regret any of the things they've done. They just regret the consequences and having to feel any shred of accountability for what they have done and the choices that they've made. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Do you agree that men going their own way just beat women at their own game? Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA Men walking away. And cheers.